What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's me. I am back. I did not disappear off the face of the earth like I'm sure some of you thought. Yeah, right. I'm sure none of you guys realized I was even gone. Anyway, I know it's been a while since my last video, and I was attempting to get one out a few days ago, but unfortunately I was down with the flu for the past, well, 3 or 4 days. I went down on Thursday evening, and I was in bed until Sunday evening. If you can tell by my voice, I'm still not completely over it, so I'll apologize if I sound a little hoarse or not too great, but I just wanted to get a video out here because, well, one, I'm running out of time before YouTube might demonetize me if I don't freaking get some content out, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is I just wanted to get another video out here and let you guys know I'm still alive and continue on with the channel. Now, I will have another video coming out kind of discussing what my plans are for 2024, the gratuitous, hey, here's what I'm doing, the one with the one video just about every channel does at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year. So I will have one of those coming out, so just be on the lookout. So, and I did release a poll that shows a few other videos I'm going to be having in the works here. So I do have content coming. I didn't disappear. I am here, so let's just go ahead and go. Today I am actually going to do a video. I wanted it to be a little more in-depth than it is actually going to be, but again, being sick and having a hoarse throat and everything like that, it's going to make it a little difficult. And two, I'm in kind of a time crunch tonight, so I don't have enough time to go over everything. And three, even if I did have enough time to go over everything, it would probably be like an hour and a half, 2 hour long video, and that's just not my style. So basically what today's video is about Bash and what my process was, and I say was, what my process was when I set up Bash. Now I say was because now I basically just pull my Git repo down and I'm good to go. But I'll kind of show you the steps I walk through to get from your basic plain Jane Bash to what I have now, which is this here, which some of you might think, oh, that's ugly, why would I want that? But to me, it's beautiful. So you know what, let's check it out, shall we? So let's go ahead and close this, and we're actually going to go back a workspace to workspace 4. And I have a void VM opened right here. That's just your plain Jane DWM. See up in the corner here, 6.4. Nothing special, but if I'm in this VM and I launch terminal, this is what you're usually going to get when you just have a plain bash installed. Let's go ahead and zoom in. If I can remember how to zoom in ST, it's going to be Control-Shift page up, I believe. Yes, okay. So simple terminal, Control-Shift page up, little side tip if you didn't know that, that's how you zoom in. But here's what we're going to do first. There's a few things I do when I first got my bash set up how I liked it. And it's still not quite perfect, there's still little changes I make here and there every now and then, but obviously one of the big ones is having a terminal emulator, choosing your terminal emulator, choosing your color scheme and all that. That all goes hand in hand with the terminal emulator, so I'm not really going to be covering that on this video. What I'm going to be more covering is your actual configuration files, your .bashrc, which is your runtime configuration file for bash, hence the RC, and basically .inputrc and the bash profile. Excuse me, sorry about that. So let's go ahead and take it from step one. Now, the first thing I would do when I would install Bash and when I wanted to get it set up how I wanted it was something that you don't have to do, but it's something I like to do because I'm kind of picky when it comes to my home directory, and I like to get as much stuff out of my home directory as possible, and that includes my .bashrc and my .bash profile and my .inputrc and all that stuff. And so I am going to show you how to move all your bash files out of Bash or out of home and into a directory of your choosing. Now this might not be safe. There's a lot of people, if you go online and read about moving these files, trust me, I know because I had to look up how to do it, but that tell you shouldn't mess with it, you shouldn't do it. By all means, take this with a grain of salt. If you are not comfortable doing it, please don't. If you do it and something happens to your system, it's not my fault. Don't blame me. Don't point your finger at me. I didn't do it. So basically, this is just what I do. I've moved it. I've had no issues, and it just kind of keeps my home directory as clutter-free as possible, even though I do need to do a little bit of spring cleaning over there. Anyway, first thing we need to do is cd into the etc directory. And so we're going to do that, and this is one thing I don't like about the plain bash prompt is, look, you got no information on it. It tells me I'm on bash 5.2 and that I'm as a user and not root. It doesn't even tell me what directory I'm in, so I want to make sure I'm in the correct directory, so let's do a pwd. And yes, okay, correct, I am in my etc directory. Now if I do an ls, you can see right here I have a bash directory. Well, let's go ahead and clear the screen. and let's cd into bash. Now if we do an ls again, we have two files in there, the bash rc and the bash rc.d. We are going to edit the bash rc. Dun dun dun. Even though people tell you not to do that, we're going to do it anyway. So let's go ahead and vim into bash. No, Jake, we are not going to vim into it. We are going to sudo vim into bash rc, and we are going to enter our super secret password that nobody will ever crack. And let's go ahead and add a line or a couple lines into this file. What we're actually going to add is an if statement. Similar to the ones above it, we're going to do if, and we are going to do a square bracket, and then we're going to do dash d, or excuse me, dash f, not dash d. Excuse me again, I'm sorry about my voice and my throat. I hope it doesn't annoy you guys. And we are going to say if, and we're going to do a double quote and $sign and say home in all caps, and then double quotes, and we're going to say dot config and bash and dot bash underscore profile. So basically what this is doing is saying if the file home your user dot config bash or dot bash profile exists, boy, then I can't type today. Then we are going to dot and then space, and we're going to do double quotes, $, capital home, dot config. Can you guess where this is going? Bash dot bash underscore profile. And then we are going to hit enter, and we are going to do a phi to close that out, and we're going to be done. Basically what this if statement says is if the file home your user dot config bash dot bash profile exists, then source that file or use that file. This is just basically directing bash to look in a location other than the location it would normally look, which is going to be your home.bash profile. Now if you don't use your .bash profile, that's fine. You can use, instead of putting .bash profile right here, you can put your .bash rc and just use the .bash rc. I use my .bash profile because because I tend to use that file for a couple things, i.e. my path and my cd path. And so I use that for the sole purpose of setting those two variables, those environment variables. I could set those in my bash rc. Don't ask me why I don't, because I couldn't give you an answer for it, but that's just the way I do it. So that's what we do first. First we have our etc bash rc looking in a different location. So let's go ahead and escape, and we're going to write and quit. So now that we have done that, we are going to cd and hit enter, and I think that should have taken us home, but since we have a horrible prompt, let's do pwd, and yes, we are in home Jake. So let's clear the screen again, and what we're going to do now is we are going to do an ls-a, and you can see right here we have our bash rc, and right here we have our bash profile. So what we are going to do now though is we are going to cd into .config, and we're going to hit enter, and we're going to do an ls. You can see I've got, this is something else I was doing, so that's rm new, new 2. rm new 2. There we go. Nope, can't remove it. It's directory, Jake, of course. rm-rf, and then do new 2. There we go. So let's clear the screen again. Let's do an ls-a. You know, I really didn't need to remove that for this video, but I did it anyway. So now we have, you can see I've got neofetch, and I've got new, and I've got ranger, and let's do an rm-rf on new as well, just so I can say I did. And now we're going to do an ls-a and hit enter, and we have neofetch and we have ranger. Now I have ranger installed just because I like to move around the file system in a terminal file file manager. I'm not going to do that in this video, but I have that installed for that purpose, and I have neofetch just for the purpose of when we finish this video. So now what we're going to do is we are going to create. So to create a directory in bash, everybody knows, say it with me, do an mkdir, and we're going to make a bash directory. And now if we do an ls, you can see we have bash in there as well. So let's cd into bash, and now let's do a pwd, and we can see we're in home jake.config bash. Now let's go ahead and clear the screen. If you remember what we were looking for in our etc/bash/bash rc, it was home user.config bash.bash profile. So what we need to do now is we need to do a move. So we're going to mv, and we're going to say home.bash underscore profile, and we are going to move that to home.config bash and to .bash profile. And we're going to do the same thing with our .bash rc, because you will have a .bash rc file when you first install bash. It just won't have much of anything in it. So we're going to do that. So now let's do a pwd. We are in homejake.config bash, and let's do an ls. Nothing, but if we do ls-a, you can see we have our .bash profile and our .bash rc. So let's go ahead and clear the screen, and let's go ahead and look for what we do next. Sorry, my kids are howling in the background, and it's kind of got me weirded out. I don't know why. Made my brain fart a little bit there. So let's go ahead and vim into our .bash profile. So we're in our .bash profile, and so we have our /etc/bash rc pointing to this file. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this file, and guess what? We're going to point it to somewhere else. So we're going to look for our home, and we're just going to edit this line a little bit. So we're going to go into insert mode, and we're going to look for .config/bash/bash rc. Simple as that. Come over here and go .config bash .bash rc, and we're going to escape, and we are going to write, and we're going to write and quit. So now you can see that we have our etc bash rc edited, and we have our bash profile and bash rc moved, and now we have our bash profile pointing to our bash rc in the current directory. So let's go ahead and vim into our .bash rc. Now you can see in .bash rc there's not much going on here. It just has this one line, and doesn't have a whole lot of configuration. Now I wanted to take this video and walk you through my setup on bash and my bash rc file and everything I do in it to make my prompt and my everything look pretty on my end, but again, that would just take a long time. I've got a lot in my bash rc, and I've got a lot in my bash profile and in my .input rc, so I'm only going to cover a bit of how I go about kind of customizing my prompt. I'm not going to do a pretty prompt or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of show you the steps I take and the steps you can use to do it. And then I'll set up the .input rc with you as well. But basically what we got to do in here then is, if we actually want to have a decent looking prompt that gives us a little more information, and let's launch another terminal, then this little bit of nonsense we have right here, let's go ahead and close that. We are going to need to create a ps1 variable. So let's do insert mode and do capital PS1, and it's going to equal, and then we are going to go with double quotes, and we are going to give a backslash, and we're going to give a square bracket, and we're going to do \e, and then we are going to do another square bracket, and then we're going to start adding some color here. So if we actually come out of the VM for a second here and go to workspace 5, let's go ahead and launch our Firefox browser. I have these saved. I've had them saved for a long time, way back in the day when I was learning how to customize my prompt, and I just haven't gotten rid of them. But there's some good websites here that just give you all the basic information you need to know to colorize and customize your prompt. It's really quite simple. It gives you all the character sequences to do things like add an alarm, to the time and the date, the username, the host name. It's really pretty great. I can actually link this website in the description of the video when I'm done, just to kind of give you an idea. But it also walks down to the bottom here, and it gives you adding color to the prompt and the different color codes you can use to add color to your prompt. So we're just basically going to change our prompt up enough to where we can actually see how you go about doing it, and then you can kind of make it your own however you want to. So let's go back to workspace 4, and we are going to use some different color here. So let's do one, which is going to be bold or bright, and we're going to do a semicolon, and we are going to do, let's see, what what colors do we got here? Let's do excuse me, how about 33? Let's add some yellow in there. I like the idea of having some yellow. So let's do 1, and let's do 33, and then we're going to do M. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Then we're going to do backslash to escape again, and we are going to do the closing square bracket. And then we're going to put something after that. What do we want there? Well, what's the first thing we really kind of want when we are building a prompt? We really want to know where we're at in our file system, right? That's usually an important thing to know. So let's actually go back over to Workspace 5 here, and let's scroll back up, and let's see what we got that can actually tell us what workspace, or what directory we're in. So we have date with D, so it's not going to be D. That's not going to tell us our working directory. H is going to be host name. The whole host name is going to be capital H. We've got J. We've got a new line character. We've got carriage return. We've got time. We got username, we got bash version, and we have W, which is current working directory, or we have capital W, which is the base name of the current working directory, i.e. So it'll give us like the tilde, I believe, base name of the current working directory. Let's kind of take a look at both of those, W or W. Oh, okay, so this one will just show you the actual directory, and this will show you the full path to the directory. I believe. Let's go ahead and try both of them. So let's go over to our bash RC here again, and we are in the correct insert mode. So that was a W or a capital W. So let's do a backslash. We'll start with W, and then we can do a space, and let's just put a colon, and let's close the double quotes, and we will escape, and we will write and hit enter. Now, if everything worked, when I launch another terminal, we should have a new bash prompt in our terminal. If it's not pointing correctly or something's wrong, we're just going to have the same ugly bash terminal, and we'll have to figure out what's going on. But if everything's done correctly, we should be able to launch this, and we should be able to see what directory we're in on our bash prompt. So let's go ahead and launch a terminal. And yeah, there you go. Okay, so we have, let's go ahead and zoom in. You can see now it shows we are in our home directory, and then we have our colon, and we can start typing. So let's actually see what happens if we cd into .config. Does this give us our whole path or just the file we're in? Okay, so that gives us home.config, so that gives us the path, and let's cd into bash, so home.config bash. Okay, so the lowercase w gives you the whole path like that. Let's go ahead and close this, and let's go ahead and insert mode and change that to a capital W, just out of curiosity, and see what the difference is. I could probably read that and come along with it a little easier, or come up with the idea a little easier if I just actually took some time and read in that other page, but heck, why not? Let's just try it. So let's go ahead and launch a terminal again. And it looks the same so far. Let's zoom in. But now let's cd into .config. Yep, okay. And then let's cd into bash. So yeah, okay, so the capital W just gives you the base. It gives you what directory you are currently in, whereas the lowercase w gives you the full path to the directory you're in. Okay, so that's cool. Oh shoot, I didn't want to do that. So let's start X. I don't have my key binding set up in this VM, so I hit my key binding for close a window is the actual stock key binding for kill DWM. So sorry about that. So let's go ahead and launch a terminal again. Let's zoom in, and let's cd into .config bash, and let's vim into .bash rc, and let's go ahead and go back to a lowercase w, because I like that better. And then say we want to have, like, let's say we want to change the color. How do we want to do that? What color do we want to use now? Let's go ahead and do a escape, and then we will do the opening square bracket. We'll do escape E again, and then we'll do another square bracket. And then we are going to change it to 1 and then semicolon, and let's go to 5 here and scroll back down to the bottom. What color do we want? What goes good with yellow? How about blue? Blue goes good with yellow, doesn't it? So let's go with 34 will be blue. So let's go back over here, go back to Workspace 2. We're going to go 34, and then we're going to give it the M, and we're going to do the closing square bracket, and let's go ahead and give us the next. So we're going to have working directory, and then do we want to do, let's do username. So let's go back to this page here, and we'll scroll back up here, and if you look at U, it's going to give you the username of the current user. So let's go back into 4, and we'll give it a backslash U, and let's go ahead and write, and let's go ahead and launch another terminal here. And there you go. But we've got a square bracket in there that we apparently don't need. So let's go ahead and close that. We've got that. Oh, I don't know why, because we didn't escape that. So we need to go into insert mode, we need to escape that. And then we can write, and then let's launch again. There we go. So now we can zoom in, and you can see we are in our current working directory, which is our home directory, and our user is Jake. Now you can also, let's close that, you can also add stuff in between here, like say you want to have, I don't know, you want to separate them a little bit. So let's just have some brackets. Let's go insert mode, and we are going to escape. I believe we have to escape these brackets. Let's go ahead and check. And then we are going to escape and close those. So let's go ahead and write and launch. No, looks like we don't have to escape them. So let's go ahead and close that again real quick. I couldn't remember if you had to escape those or not. It's been a while since I've actually customized my prompt. So let's go ahead and launch again. There you go. So if we then zoom in, not out, we want to zoom in, you can see we now have a separation between our username and our current working directory. So let's cd into .config, not .ramble. Boy, I am on fire. So that looks kind of nice, you know, but the problem is I don't want the rest of my text on the outside of my prompt to be blue like that. I would like that to go back to white. So let's go ahead and close that. And what do we need to do that? Now you can continue adding basically this section right here. Oops, not all the way over there. This section right here in front of each of these different characters here, these character sequences right here, and just change the numbers right in here, this 134 and this 133, you can change it to a 0 and whatever, and just go through whatever colors. If you basically put that in front, that is going to actually change your color. So you can have as many colors through here as you want. That's how you change your color, and then you use, after these closing square brackets, that's where you put what you want to be displayed in your prompt. But now I want anything after this colon, excuse me, gosh, I couldn't think, to be back to being white. So let's go back into insert mode, and what we need to do then is we need to do an escape, and we need to do square bracket, escape E, and then we're going to do another square bracket, and then we are going to do 0, because I also don't want it to be bold or bright. So we are then going to do a colon, and we're going to do 37. 37, I believe, is white. I don't want to go back to the page. We'll just see. Should be white, and then we'll escape, and we'll do the closing bracket, and then we'll do a space, and then that should be it. So let's go ahead and escape, and let's write, and let's go ahead and launch a terminal again, and let's zoom in, and there you go. You can see we have our current working directory right here, and we have our username right here, and if we're typing outside of there, it's back to white. So we now have a separation from our prompt and our text in our terminal. So let's see, into .config again, and there you go. Now with my current version, I do have like Nerd Fonts and Font Awesome installed on my system, so you can actually use those in your prompt as well if your terminal emulator will actually do that. You can put that stuff in there, which is how I get let's go out here, which is how I end up with like my void logo right here and these chevrons right there. I actually just use Nerd Font icons. But this is basically a real simple way to create the prompt that you want, customize it to your needs and what you want in there. Basically this long sequence right here again is your color code, and then you have your character code right here for what you want to display, and then you have another color code for the next character you want to, or for the next item you want displayed, and then another color code here to change it back to white for your prompt. So, or for after your prompt. So that's basically what I do to customize my prompt. And so that kind of gets me a good starting point for moving my stuff out of my home directory like I want and moving it into my .config directory. I keep 90% of my stuff in my .config or my .local directory that I use on a regular basis. That's just my preference. You don't have to. There's no law that says you have to do that. That's just how I like to do it. We're going to go over one more thing now. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to touch base on all the other stuff. I'll give you a glimpse of my bash RC. You can find it on my GitHub and my Gitlab pages and my repos there. I'll give you a glimpse of my bash RC before I leave, just kind of show you why I'm not going to go over the whole entire thing. But let's go ahead and escape. We are going to write and quit. And let's go ahead and close this terminal and then relaunch, so we have our nice cool prompt now. Look at that. That is the sexiest prompt I've ever seen. Not really, but anyway, I got to make myself feel good, right? So next thing I'm going to do is, and I'm not going to show you tonight how to actually move .input.rc out of home, because I'm going to be completely honest with you, I forgot how to do it. I just recently did it. I just recently figured out how to do it, and I forgot how to do it already, so I got to relook that up. But what we want to do is we want to vim into our .input.rc. And I already have it created here, so basically what I'm going to talk you through here is what this stuff does. So this set colored stats and set colored completion prefix on, this basically, when you do a ls and or a cd and hit tab or whatever, it shows you color. Like directories are a different color than files, and executable is different than non-executable, and all that. What the set colored completion prefix actually, so let's just go ahead and show that in, and we'll come over here and let's zoom this out a little bit. We'll come over here and we'll zoom in a little bit, and let's do cd space and hit tab. You can see how I've got different colors, like local, config, cache, all this stuff. The white, anything that's white is a file, and anything that is in blue is a directory. That's what this set colored stats on does. If I do a cd, and you can see I do cd dot and I hit tab, you can see the dot is pink and the rest of it's not. Well, let's clear the screen, and let's do cd dot and let's do C, and then we'll hit tab. Now you can see how I've got two directories showing up here, cache and config. Well, you can see I've got .c. Well, the .c is all pink because this colored completion prefix. Anything you've already started to type will show up in a different color, so you can kind of match what you've already typed to what's coming up. Set show all if ambiguous, set completion ignore case. Show all if ambiguous, if I just do cd and hit tab, that's going to show me everything. Set completion ignore case, basically if I had a directory, this is what those other directories were for, so let's mkdir new and mkdir new. Now say I wanted to cd into new with a capital, and I did cd, actually let's move, this is why I did that, new to home new 2. So if I do cd and hit n and tab, it still shows me both of them. I guess I didn't need to do the 2. My brain's not fully better yet, but see how it shows me both of them even though I only did a lowercase n. This completion ignore case, that's what that does. So like if I was to cd into, if there's only one of those, like let's rm-rf, let's say new. So we're going to remove that one. We're going to clear the screen. Instead I did cd n and I hit tab. See how it automatically completes it to the new 2 with a capital even though I used a lowercase n? That's what that set completion ignore case does. Set completion display width to 0. That's the whole idea when I do cd and hit tab, and how it lists it down like this instead of lists it out like normally when you do ls or whatever. I have that set right here to display width 0 because I like it this way. I can read it easier this way. It doesn't clutter my brain up. Set completion query items to 1,000. If there's going to be over 1,000, like say I had over 1,000 directories in this directory, and I did cd tab, and say I had 5,000, it would tell me, hey, guess what? You have over 1,000. Do you want to display them all? So I have that set to 1,000. Set echo control characters to off. So basically what that does is if you don't have that on and you hit Control C, you get the chevron capital C that shows up when you clear the screen, and you get a new prompt. But with the set echo control characters off, that just makes it so it doesn't display the ~C. These here are key bindings I have set up for bash. This is search history backwards, so if I hit forget what key bindings these are. I don't ever use these, so I forget what the E, A, and B do. So sorry. But Control F, Control B, Control H, those, like if I was here and I did Control F, you can see it automatically does cd home jake.config, and I can hit enter. If I do Control B, oops, I'd be in this. If I do Control B, it automatically takes me up a directory. And if I do Control H, again, got to be in the right terminal window. If I do Control H, it takes me back home. Now this last one is kind of cool, and this is Alt S. This escape E and then S. This is Alt S, and so what this does is, say you're typing out along, like, okay, I'm going to install something, and I'm on void, and I do xbps-install-s, and I start to type what I want to install, and like, oh crap, I was supposed to put sudo at the front of this. Yeah, you can jump back to the front of the line with Control A and then type sudo and then jump back to the back of the line. Or what you can do is you can have this key binding set in there, and all I got to do is press Alt S, and look what happened. It automatically appended sudo to the front of my line for me, and I can just continue on typing like I wanted to. So that's the last thing I have set in my .input.rc, and that's just kind of it. That's how I go about setting up my bash configuration. Let's go ahead and clear the screen and clear, Control L, there we go. Yeah, so first step is I get my home directory cleared. I get my bash rc and my .bash profile and my .input.rc out of my home directory and into my .config directory where I like them. Secondly, as I start setting up my prompt and everything, let's go ahead and go into workspace 5 here on my other machine. Let's go ahead and actually maybe go into 6. There we go, we're in 6. So let's go ahead and clear that. Let's zoom in. Like I said, your terminal emulator plays a part in this as well. I use Alacrity for the most part. Sometimes I use Kitty. Sometimes on Wayland I use Foot. It just kind of depends on my my mood at the time. Right now I've been living in Alacrity for quite some time, and I really like it. I've liked it. I've had it for a long time. So, but let's actually cd into bash, and you can see I'm in homejake.config bash now. And if I do an ls, you can see I've got just one non-hidden file, and that's my website aliases. So if I do an ls-a, you can see I've got my bash history, bash profile, bash rc, input rc, and website aliases. So let's go ahead and vim into .bash rc, and you can see I've got a lot going on in here. So it would have taken a long time to kind of go through all this and let you know what all I do, but I do have little videos and little snippets set up going over different parts of my bash profile or my bash configuration. I think I might update that because I think some stuff has changed. But I do have some stuff going on with it, so I might kind of walk through the process of what I do to get it looking the way it looks, or kind of how you can set up functions in it and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's kind of what I got going on with my bash. That's how I set it up. Again, move everything out of home. Second, make the files point where they need to be. Third, customize my prompt. And fourth, get my .input.rc set up and ready to rock. And then from there, it's just tweaking little bits here and there when you find something new you want. Or if you find something you don't like, and changing it on the fly. So I've had the same bash configuration for quite some time now. Just little tweaks and adds here and there, but for the most part it's been pretty rock solid. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you can get some use out of it. Again, sorry about my voice if I sound horrible. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening, a great rest of your week. I look forward to getting some more videos out for you guys and just making sure that we keep this channel rocking. So you guys all have a great rest of your week. Stay safe. God bless. All right. Have a great time.